Donald Trump announcing 25% tariffs on India. The second on point is on Dharamsthala files in Karnataka. The third on point is on the big Sunset showdown over Operation Sindoor. The fourth on point is on a massive anti-immigrant protest in Tripura. With just a day left for the August 1st deadline set by Donald Trump administration to wrap up agreements with its trading partners, the American president on Wednesday announced 25% tariffs on India in a post on Truth Social. So let me read out what Trump posted about friend India. That's what makes Trump unpredictable. While India is our friend, we have over the years done relatively little business with them. India's tariffs are among the highest in the world. India has most strenuous and, if I may use the word, obnoxious non-monetary trade barrier. And that's the word Trump uses. India has always brought most of their military equipment from Russia. India is Russia's largest buyer of energy, along with China at the time when the world is against Russia. India will pay 25% tariff plus a penalty. What's more, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal held a meeting with External Affairs Minister Jaishankar in the Parliament House. So what are the areas that are going to be affected? Is it going to be just the agricultural products? On this issue, I'm joined by Ambassador Suresh Goyal, former Indian diplomat. I will subsequently be joined by Dr. Ranjan Kumar, Professor, Center for International Studies, JNU, and Ambassador Veena Sikri. Sir, my first question to you is of slightly larger ambit. Is it going to affect our larger relationship with the United States of America, sir?
It's a good question. It could. But it could only if the two sides react, and particularly I would say Indian side reacts in the same manner as our dear friend President Trump reacts in a very kind of a temperamental, unpredictable manner. We need to do it very carefully. It's an important relationship. And if we behave carefully, if we behave in a calculated manner, keeping in mind our overall strategic interest, our trade interest and everything, I don't see why it should impact on the larger relationship between India and the USA. It must not, if I can say so.
Okay. Dr. Kumar, my second question to you is that does the tariff signal the end of so-called US-India natural alliance under Trump? Because the language which Donald Trump has deployed, I would say is rude if you call India a partner. I don't think anyone would deploy a word like obnoxious.
Well, it has to be seen in the context, and Trump is known for making remarks which are totally unacceptable, and it can be offensive at times. So, obnoxious he is saying about the trade barriers that India has put, but also he is saying that India has been a friendly country, and there are expectation that he'll be talking to Prime Minister sometime soon. And as Ambassador Goyal rightly pointed out, so there is a space for negotiation. So, and if you see in the larger context, so there is a convergence of interest, geopolitical interest, political interest, and also commercial interest. So, I don't see that, it should be seen as just something which is very offensive.
Ambassador Sikri, thank you so much for joining me. I know it was a short call, madam. My question to you is twofold. One, the Trump keeps on changing goalposts. One day the Russians become the best friend, and the second day, he's upset with Russia. One day he wants to cut deal with China, and the second day Trump feels that there should be high tariffs. Do you think it's like 3 steps forward and 2 steps backward? Something is going to change in the next 48 hours. That's one. And secondly, to penalize India for having independent relationship is to say that the relationship can only be as sort of a subsidiary alliance, madam.
Yeah, no, I think one has to see President Trump's statement in a broader context, as you have placed it. It is difficult, no doubt, and I'm sure that our very senior people who've been dealing with this all the while in the government, they must be mulling over it right now. I think that this is a pressure tactic, definitely, because we are on the verge of concluding a trade agreement. But the thing is that the next round of discussions has been scheduled for India in the middle of August somewhere, or second week of August. So obviously it's not going to happen before the 1st of August. Then many people are linking this also with the fact that, again in Parliament, our External Affairs Minister has reiterated what we have said repeatedly, what our Prime Minister also conveyed to President Trump, that there were no talks on trade issues at all in the discussions, that were held during Operation Sindoor. And in any case, it is the Pak DGMO that asked for the ceasefire, and we agreed to a Yudh Viram, to a pause in the operations. So I think part of it could be because of that. And I think that it is completely wrong to put this kind of penalty, because the EU itself is continuing to buy oil and gas from Russia. It's reducing the amount, but they're buying from India through, the processed or refined Russian oil and gas products. America too is buying some products, continues to buy products from Russia, like uranium and many other smaller items. So to say that other countries can do it, you can continue to do it, and US can continue to do it, and India is to be called out for this, I think this is completely wrong. I do see that there will be some kind of pushback from the government of India, because on trade, we do know that on issues like dairy, where they are wanting to send in dairy products, where the bovine animals, the cows, have been fed non-vegetarian, meat products. I don't think that's going to be acceptable at all in India, because India is a very deeply religious country, and we will not accept dairy products based on this kind of thing. And there are many other issues that we have explained our position very clearly, but we are going to buy larger amounts of American, ethane, ethanol, and other petroleum products. So these are all being negotiated. These are all being discussed. Maybe the size of the deal may increase. India may promise some investment in USA. I think one should not anticipate what will be included, but to say that this is part anger, part pressure, part negotiating tactics, our government will certainly make its own very measured response, and we hope that it will all be solved by the time the next round of negotiations takes place, and a bilateral trade agreement, the first format of that, will be worked out by that time.
Ambassador Goyal, should there be a counter tariff by India? Should we do that?
Let us not react in a kind of, adventurous manner, or in a kind of a retaliatory manner. Look, let us face it. The US relationship is an important one. It's important for us as it is important for the USA. Let us not behave like Trump. I'm sorry, I'm saying it to the media, and I should be saying it, but let us be more mature than this really, and simply react that, yes, okay, you put 25%, we'll put 30% to you. Come on, this is not the way. I think we should be more measured, we should be more careful, we should determine what is good for us, what we can accept, what we cannot accept. There are so many variables here. Agriculture is one of them. Our own electronic export is another one. Investment is another one. Employment of the Indian technical people in the US is another one. There are so many issues here. It's a very complex thing. And I'm not in the government anymore, and therefore I can happily say that I would be happy to leave it to the professionals. Let them deal with it. In the meantime, if Trump has done it, let him do it. Let the message go to him that we are still cool, we are still measured about it. We are not reacting in a kind of a peremptory manner that most other countries would do. Yes, I agree with Ambassador Veena Sikri that yes, maybe it is actually a linkage to what we said in the parliament today. I have my own opinion on that, but the point is, even if there is a linkage, and we have made a point, and I think at a political level, India must now really adhere to the point that we have made in the parliament. There is no way out of it.
But Ambassador Goyal,
yes.
Ambassador Goyal, isn't the most important or troublesome part is that the tariff is also originating for India's long association with Russia, a stable ally. It's not only a bilateral issue. It's like if you're going to trade with C, then I am going to implement taxes on you. So it makes it even more, I would say, bizarre, if I may use the word.
I know what you're saying. But I don't think, personally speaking, even though it has been mentioned in the tweet that he made, about our buying oil from Russia. But ultimately, where is that oil product going? And European dependence on the Russian energy is well known. And despite all this, he can strike an agreement with the European Union. I don't think that that's the ultimate test, really, that it is Russian oil which is creating all this problem. I said there are complex issues here. Let the delegation come here, even if we have no understanding between the two of us before the delegation comes. Let us be patient. Wait. Let the delegation come. Talk to them. See what their inputs are. I'm sure they will have something to say on what Trump has done. And then we determine a strategy. But I'm again absolutely firm that there is no question of a knee-jerk reaction from India. There is no question of our capitulating on this threat. There is no question of our acting in a kind of a peremptory manner. We need to be measured. We need to be calculated as we are and as we should be. And we should be really more mature on these things.
Dr. Kumar, let's break it down for our viewers. Where is the tiff? What is the core area? Just break it down for our viewers where the problem is in context of two trading partners, sir.
I think the tension is emerging partly because if the tariff 25% that US is planning to put it, I think that will make many of our export products not competitive in the international market, especially within the US market, and that becomes a real challenge because we have this trade surplus of about $45 billion. With the United States. The total trade is roughly last year it was $129 billion. I'm talking about the goods trade, not the service trade. And out of that, approximately $87 billion we exported and around, I think, 41 something that we imported. The trade surplus that would be impacted, and that will have some impact on India's economy also. But more important that what Trump is saying is about the secondary sanction because we at the moment we are importing roughly 69 approximately $69 billion of trade we have with Russia, and out of that almost 90% is just import, and that is energy import that we do from Russia. Trump is saying that there'll be secondary sanction, there'll be penalties for India having trade with Russia. So two things would concern me. First is the energy export, that India will have to look for alternative a source of energy from other countries. The second is also because we have a huge amount of defense supplies coming from Russia to India. So it's not exactly clear whether he'll target just the energy or he'll put secondary sanction on any trade that a country has with Russia. So if defense products also come under the secondary sanctions, I think then India will have to draw a red line, and India will have to say very clearly to United States that this is something which is not acceptable. On defense issues, on the national security issues, you cannot change the platform in just few days or few months, so it requires long time. And with Russia, we have the joint production agreement with BrahMos and a lot of other things. And at the moment, US is not offering any kind of joint production. US is saying that take more products from United States, take energy from United States, take defense products from United States, but it is not offering joint production the kind of system that was working. So in that case, I don't think India will agree to that kind of pressure, especially on the defense issues. But yes, India might concede to this energy issue because India knows that it can be bought from Iraq, it can be brought more energy from this Saudi Arabia, even United States is exported today. So we can diversify a bit of energy, but defense products is very difficult. So India will, at this moment, what Indian policymakers probably are thinking, that there is a scope for negotiation, and even with that what Trump is saying, it might be just a technique to put pressure on India, 25%, and probably there is some space for negotiation, and India would be negotiating somewhere between 20 to 25, and even if that happens, so that would be comparatively advantageous compared to China and many other countries, Vietnam, etc. So we are looking for that kind of negotiation, and it's very likely that you will have some kind of declaration, some kind of agreement before August 1st. But yeah, on every issue, it will take a long time to negotiate.
Ambassador Sikhi, thank God that America has a constitution where a person gets 2 terms as the president. America has not gone the Russia and the China way, or even the Turkey way, where democracies will have to deal with one person for the rest of their lifetime. But From Operation Sindhu, something which got debated in Parliament, to this, what does this unpredictability on part of President Trump bring to India's table, madam?
Well, I think the most important at this point is for India to maintain its own stability in the policy of strategic autonomy. And I think India will adhere to this strategic autonomy. It will not give in on that. I think this is the broad, multi-partisan, bipartisan consensus on foreign policy issues and also among the people. The initial responses to what America has proposed through this message by President Donald Trump is this, that, India is not going to give in because India is going to maintain its strategic autonomy. To think that because of the pressure from America on the penalty that it is talking about, we do not know as yet what the amount of the penalty will be, but we do know that in the American Congress, certain people have proposed a penalty of even 500%, So it's absolutely crazy. We do know that the NATO chief also proposed that, yes, countries like India and China, we must impose a huge... So there is this pressure building up. There is a tremendous amount of pressure building up from all sides on India on this issue of its oil purchases from Russia. But India has maintained consistently that our oil purchases from Russia are to suit the interests of the Indian economy and the need for cheap energy for India, and we will get it from the best possible source as far as the price factor is concerned. And I do not think we are going to give up on this because it will be very difficult, very, very difficult. So it is a negotiating.
Madam, do you think it's a pressure tactic? Do you think that he's going to change the goalposts? It's a pressure tactic.
It is partially a pressure tactic. I've said so before. I think it is a pressure tactic. Let's see, for example, if you talk about a tariff of 25%, the Apple is now selling a significant proportion of its iPhones in the US. They made in India. Of course, President Trump has spoken against that as well. But at the moment it is. So those iPhones, if you have a 25% tariff, then they become more expensive for the American people. So I think this is a factor which I think President Trump should certainly take into account, because in America, the question of prices is a very sensitive one. And if the iPhone, for example, to give one example, is going to become more expensive, it's not going to be very popular. In fact, this whole issue of tariffs, this whole issue is not entirely accepted by President Trump's own constituency. His own MAGA constituency, there's not a unanimity on this, and their differences are emerging. So it is, yes, to a short point, yes, it is a pressure tactic, but it is not a tactic on which India is going to be able to give in very easily. I think there can be negotiations, there should be negotiations, we should be patient. I do not see any immediate response. The government has said that they're going to study it carefully, and when the next round of talks takes place, then we will know something more about it. And I think we have to, we will agree to buy more petroleum products. So we will increase the purchases from America, the imports from America. The trade deficit, trade gap will go down. India's positive surplus will go down. So all this will happen. But I don't think we need to overreact. We need to be very stable about this.
Okay. So let me ask this question to Ambassador Goyal. Sir, what is the antidote for this such crass, if I may put it, transactionalism, sir?
None.
None.
I'm sorry, but the fact is that we do not expect this kind of behavior from the state leaders, international leaders, but everybody is different, it happens. And when these things happen, then we have to adjust our own policy behavior to these kind of idiosyncrasies. And there is no way out of it really. And eventually the relations are conducted by the kind of policies you adopt and the way you adjust to this kind of behavior. Now, having said this, the fact is that as we saw during Trump's first term, after all those kind of, the behavior up and down and different kind of statements coming, eventually there was a realization even there that there has to be a certain kind of a pattern, there has to be certain kind of permanency in terms of the policy behavior. So I'm quite certain, I'm absolutely certain that as time goes by, not even 1 year has been spent by Trump in White House so far in the second term. I am quite certain that as time goes by, there is going to be a greater kind of stability in policy behavior. greater predictability, and we can do more business with the USA. What makes me so certain really here is that if you look at the strategic metrics and the strategic map of the world, there's no way out of it.
Okay. Okay. And let me take closing comment from Dr. Kumar sir. What is one area in this trade tip which remains non-negotiable for India, if I may put it, sir? A minute to you, sir.
Without any doubt, that's the national security. But national security also involves not just the defense purchases that we do, but also the energy that we do. And that is non-negotiable, and we cannot compromise, because few things are agriculture products. This will impact farmer, fertilizer, and both are linked to energy again. So energy and defense, these are the two things which are non-negotiable, because that's essential for India's security, farmer security, poor man security, and also for manufacturing security. If we do not acquire energy at a reasonable price, then our manufacturing sector would be impacted. So we have to negotiate really tough. But let me tell you that 25% tariff will not impact that much. Yes, because US is an ally, US is a good partner of India. So we're trying to negotiate. And also at the moment, we are not overreacting. But let me tell you that if the negotiations, Trump also knows that if the negotiations don't go through, then US policy will also be impacted on India, on Indo-Pacific, and India will also
Absolutely,
start.
that's a very good point.
Retaliating after some time. At the moment, we are like, patient, wait and watch, and let the negotiations happen.
I think you have given me a good food for thought to do another show that people see India-US relationship in terms of what US can give India, but there's other side what India gives to United States of America in context of larger geopolitics. But that is for tomorrow. Thank you all of you for joining my show. So this was On Point 1. In the next On Point, we will look at the Dharamsthala files in Karnataka. Shocking claims, chilling allegations, and a temple town under the scanner. Tonight we bring you the latest in the Dharamsthala mass